obviously everybody comes into the Ultimate Fighter thinking, hey, I'm going to win this thing, this is mine. But when along the season did you realize, hey, I'm good enough to do this, I'm definitely the guy to take this thing?
You know, in the beginning of the episode, or like in the beginning of the season, you know, it was kind of hard to get the nerves out. You know, not having that support group or not having that music or that TV to, you know, be that backbone for whatever you got. You know, and it was that after that first time I fought, because it was on my birthday. This is my destiny, man. This is exactly what I was born for. And I found my niche, and, you know, I'm going to make my mom and dad proud. That's all I want to say.
Talk to us about your thoughts on Ramsey, maybe how it was when the season started. We saw him being kind of the goofball or whatever, but he could fight too. How did your opinion of him change along the season?
It's just an image, man. You know, everybody's got to like stand out, I guess. You know, me, I'm more like the quiet kind of guy. You know, keep everything bottled up. You know, obviously it showed. You know, but with Ramsey, you know, he's more out there and he did his own thing. You know, but that's his personality. We come from the same kind of backgrounds. He's a wrestler. You know, when you're a wrestler, you have discipline, dedication, determination. You know, all the 3 Ds. You know, and he brings that into the fight game too. So anybody that ever underestimated him never been on a wrestling team. Put it that way.
Now, the call today, man, a lot of the questions were focused on the negativity of the final episodes. What's your feelings on that? I mean, do you wish that could be buried quickly, or do you accept what happened in that?
Hey, you know what it is, and it's going to be on you guys, you know, how much you guys want to, like, push forward with it. The one thing is I know who I am, and I know where I come from. I come from Michigan, and I come from California. You know, I was born in California, you know, and what I did was I moved to Michigan. I grew up kind of angry, you know. I didn't have my dad there in the picture. I had my stepdad, and he disciplined me the way that he had to. You know, he put me in sports, and he kept me out of trouble. He had that tight, you know what I mean? Your parents probably had the same thing, that tight leash on your neck, so that way you wouldn't get so far out there, you know. We lived in a small town. So the thing was, you know, I have a lot of people back home that kind of raised a lot of questions. But they know me, and you know what, they praise me on Facebook, and they wrote me messages, and which really helped, because, you know, it hit right here. You know, when I saw myself on that TV, that's somebody that's inside the cage. Everybody had to see that guy outside of the cage. That's where I got my nickname, is El Cucuy. That stands for the boogeyman. You know, and the one thing is, I'm a scary person inside the cage, but outside of that, I'm a nice guy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it all depends on what the people have to say about it. If I get booed or if I don't get booed, it doesn't matter. I'm in there to do one job, and that's to win this damn thing.
What's the feeling you're getting from a lot of people? A lot of people want to focus on that, or you feel like you've been able to kind of move by?
Well, I'm kind of glad that the attention span of the average male is kind of like, hey, what's a shiny object? Kind of like myself, you know. It's kind of like, so, you know, in hopes and everything else like that, you know, I hope that people actually look at themselves, and maybe that they, you know, they can dig deep into themselves and kind of like figure out something about themselves. You know, not just about me. I figured out a hell of a lot of things about myself, especially with watching that episode. You know, and I figured that's not the kind of person I want to be, and that's not the example that I want to set for these kids. You know, I said that I wanted to make some changes, and I have. You know, I was training over at Team Death Clutch. I was fortunate enough to have Brock sponsor me over there. He saw something good in me. You guys all know Brock. Brock ain't gonna spend time with somebody that he doesn't want to. You know, so he must have saw something good in me, and Coach Marty Morgan and my coach Joseph Janik from Knucklehead Boxing. Those guys are nice enough to stick in with me day in and day out. They know exactly what I bring to the gym, in and out of it too. So hopefully, you know, people can see me from the other side now.
Did it take the episode actually airing before you realized like what had happened, or you know, leaving the house, did you know, oh man, I really messed up there?
Well, in the morning you kind of saw, like, I was kind of like oblivious to what had happened, you know, like, you know, when you get that much aggression, you know, people kind of said in the interview too, they're like, you know, do you think the fight was too short, and did you think that, you know, you brought that back with you to the house? I brought a lot of stuff with me into that house, you know, so the thing was, you know, it was just a matter of time before it happened, and I didn't think it was going to be with me, but it did. You know, and unfortunately it sucks that everybody had to see it, but, you know, everybody has their inner demons, you know, and they're dealing with them every single day, you know.
You've obviously spent a lot of time with the guy you're about to fight. And sometimes one of the two can have a psychological advantage, whether it be because you guys saw each other in training or how you fought on the show.
I saw the guy like 5 times today already.
Yeah. If there is a psychological advantage in this fight, do you think you have it, or can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, the psychological advantage is, you know, it depends on who you have in your corner, you know, or who you trust around you. I see him, he has his lady here, I have my fiance here. You know, he has his team set there, I have my team set here. The one thing is we're both wanting this. This is a dream come true for both of us. You know, we worked hard, you know, and that van ride when we had back after it was a wrap, you know, we both kind of talked to each other the same way that myself and Chuck did. We said that we're gonna let fireworks go, we're gonna beat the shit out of each other, pardon my French. You know, but the one thing was, is we're gonna both bring our A game, and whether it's emotions or not, we both know that you can't bring an emotion into this fight. What you have to do is you have to be technical, you have to be tactical, and you have to keep it moving. That conditioning's there, just like Brock said, the hay's in the barn.
Can you talk about how it came about, Brock inviting you out and working with Death Clutch?
You know, the one thing is like I fought my heart out in that last fight, you know, and none of the guys trained with me over there. I trained myself for that full last week. You know, I didn't have anybody to spar with, I had anybody to roll with. I had 6 different pairs of eyes watching me day in and day out. I was practicing outside. You know, so the one thing was I had to focus. It was just like I was back at home in Michigan. I had my wrestling mat back in the basement. Nobody told me to go down there. What I did is I went down there by myself. I had my music with me, but you know what? I had my little green book with me. You know what? I had little sayings that my parents and back home in Michigan, my teammates, they wrote to me. You know, keep your head. You know, if you're doing your own thing, you're doing the right thing. You know, and I just kept to myself. And what I did is I stuck to my own routine. Brock saw that, and he saw that I didn't need to be told exactly what to do. You know, I've been wrestling since I was 6. You know, and my coaches, I was always the captain of the team. You know, I never asked for it, but it was just my work ethic and the way that I presented myself, that's why I got that title. So, you know, Brock saw that in me, and, you know, right afterwards when it was a wrap, he brought me into the room with Coach Marty. He kicked all the other guys out and said, hey, I don't want you guys telling nobody. You know, this is just us. You know, Brock allowed me to be inside of, like, his family group, and that was the coolest thing in the world, man. That guy's a role model like crazy. No matter what anybody says about Brock. You know, Marty Morgan is still the same guy, too. Day in and day out, those guys were there one-on-one with me, making sure that I was eating right, making sure I wasn't drinking, making sure I wasn't getting distracted by any outside forces, making sure that I wasn't doing the Twitter thing. Because obviously everybody, you know, you guys seen it. You guys follow my Twitter. You know, shit gets crazy, man, and this is the first time for me that, you know, people have been mad at me. But that's just more fuel to my fire, but I don't like that. I want to turn it around. You know, that's my biggest thing, and Brock saw that. That's why he invited me.
Odds were released today. You're an underdog. Any thoughts on that? Were you surprised?
Perfect. That's all I wanted. I always want to be the underdog. Look at it. Like I said in that house, it was 6-1. Hey, I used that aggression towards anything, you know, but I didn't bring it into the cage. You saw me shout outside of that cage afterwards, and it was a heartfelt like a shout. I didn't even know what the hell I said until after I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, it is my time. This is my time. I've been putting in my time day in, day out, and I've had those jobs, those office cubicles where everybody hates it, you know, and nobody wants it, but nobody really does anything. They just settle for it. I don't want to settle. This is exactly where I need to be, and this is where I deserve. I need to be that next Ultimate Fighter.
You thought yet about some of the guys that have come through the Ultimate Fighter program and what it might be like to have your name mentioned, and some of the guys that not just have won but have been through the program in general?
You know, I was always that kid that walked through the halls, you know, when I was in like elementary or middle school, that looked through the high schools. And you know, when you got those all-stars or the state champion guys that are on the wall, you know, whether it's for wrestling or track and field or baseball, when I got to high school, I was like, I want to be that guy. And when I got to be that guy, I said, I want to do it again. And I want to do it again, and I did it, you know, and I won state, and I got to college, and I said, hey, I want to be one of those guys that has one of those American flag things, you know, I want that. And I did that. This is the new pinnacle in my life, and of course I want to be amongst the greatest, man. This is exactly what every single fighter does. You know, I didn't know back then I was going to get into this, but now it was just like a new freaking thing that I was just like, oh man, I'm ecstatic about it. You couldn't get me away from the gym, man. And that's exactly where I belong, man. I belong like with one of those guys in the grades. You know I can make a difference in people's lives, at least by going and talking to them and saying that the stuff that I did on that TV is a wrong thing to do, but make a difference. You know, I think, you know, truthfully and honestly, and God believes me, you know, that, you know, I can make a difference, you know, but that's what I'm working at. You know, like I said, the hay's in the barn. I can't really work on my conditioning or my hands anymore or any further, but what I can do is I can go out there and give you guys the greatest show in the world. That's all I can promise you.